Welcome to the realest podcast you'll ever listen to. I'm LT.
I'm Kiki.
And we're here to talk blunt.
Black ladies, unequivocally North Tulsa. Let's talk blunt talk. So, LT, what are we going to talk blunt about today?
Well, you know me.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing a lot of self-reflection.
Okay.
As only I can do.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been thinking a lot about what would I tell my younger self? And vice versa. What would my younger self tell me? I think that would be very interesting. One of the things that I think about is I think about my journey and where I've been. And I think I would encourage myself to take more risks. Don't be afraid to take risks, and the things that scare you can often lead to growth. And so I think sometimes, my personality being very guarded, I think I fail to, I'm one of those people that I'll tell you this, but I'm gonna analyze, line up my pros, line up my cons. Well, the opportunity might be to go by the time I get to the, the ninth mark to figure it out. And so I think I would encourage myself to take more risks and to go after what you want with confidence. Even if you fail, you learn something along the way.
True.
And so I think even in our failures, we learn things. And so I think that's one of the things that my younger self would tell me today. What about you?
Well, speaking simply from where I am now, I'd go from a younger self perspective. I guess I'd start with a quote that I probably had put up when I had started school for the second time, which was an Alice Walker quote from her book, Search for Our Mother's Garden. And it says, part of what existence of life means to me is knowing the difference between what I am now and what I was then. And I think there's a lot to unpack in that, especially when you think about things you've done in the past and things you've learned. But for me, one of the things I would definitely do is, and I've always had a sense of relationships, but having lost, parents at an early age and things like that, I would say relationships are important. So choose wisely, meaning for me, not everybody gets a seat at the table in my life. And I think that has been something that I struggled with, that dichotomy of, being a Libra and trying to balance, let's all kumbaya. Not so much anymore. I'm more about, and it's not necessarily what have you done for me lately or who are you or what do you mean? I'm not into stature, but I mean, literally, you can allow influences in that aren't positive or that won't send you in a direction in a positive way. I'm a spiritual person, so I believe in listening to my faith and letting God lead me. And when I've strayed from that, that's when I tend to have these windows or doors open. I listen to Calm quite a bit, and there's a gentleman on there. He used to be a monk, and at the age of 25, he left, and he decided, he did some reflecting, and so he has the Daily J is what it's called, and very simplistic type advice. But one of the things that he said that was really, for me, like, it wasn't like, aha, but it was, when a door or window closes behind you, leave it closed.
Don't look back.
Leave it closed. And so often we want to go back and just peek a little bit, just like go through and just like, oh, what happened? Or no, he was like, leave the doors closed that close. And when the doors open, walk through them. So in essence, I took away from that, don't question so much, oh, this door is open. What kind of back what you walk through confidently. Okay, this door is opening. I'm walking through. And then I'm going to keep walking through those doors that are opening, and the doors that don't open, don't sweat it. So that's one of the things. The other is go gray sooner. I struggle with the gray thing. I started graying at 18, 20-ish. Well, my late teens, early 20s, a gray here, gray here. Then by the time I was 30, I was like, oh. So me and Miss Clara, we had a long-term relationship. I mean, talk about relationship building. I built a long-term relationship with my hair color. And I dabbled in my 40s with being gray, and I was like, "Ah," and somebody, again, outside influence, "You're too young to go gray." And I'm like, "I am? Well, when will I be able to go gray?" Like, what is the magical time? And literally, I was at a conference sitting behind somebody and saw where they had a mixture of gray and black and all these other colors, and I was like, "Okay, for me, it's time." Like, I know that's happening in the back of my head right now, and I'm ready. So, I would tell my younger self, "It's okay, girl, 35, let it go." But reflective, right? Just being reflective about things. What are some other things you would
So
say?
I'm gonna go back just a second on you talked about relationships, and I I totally agree with what you said. I think I want to add to that is that we have to cherish the people who we care about and who come in our lives because not everybody is going to be that person that you want uh, to continue relationships with. There are people that come in our lives for a season, and there's people that come in our lives for eternity. Like they go through the journey with us, and so I think you have to cherish both. That person was just for that season, but you really cherish the ones. And I think it all comes down to surrounding yourselves with people who uplift you and inspire you. It's all about quality, not quantity. And a lot of people want to have multiple friends. I'm one of those. I keep my circle pretty small because it's the quality of the friendships. I don't need a lot of people that I'm trying to figure out, so the quantity doesn't mean anything to me. And so it's all about the quality. So that was one of the things that I wanted to add on to that. I think another one for me would be the importance of self-care. I
Mhm.
think that's something that I had to get older to really understand. I'm one of those people like my word is everything, and I'm always giving my word out. So it's like I promise to do this, and I promise to not that I say the words promise, but if I tell you I'm going to do something, then I'm going to do it. I feel like that's the integrity, and I feel like I that's something I've done professionally and personally. But I need to think through what I say I'm going to do. Yeah, sometimes I end up or have ended up overextended. And then I am stressed because I got all these things that I've committed to. So I think the importance of self care, mental and physical, I think is something I really had to get older. I don't think when you're younger, I don't think you cherish as much that taking care of yourself and having self time. I mean, I love just time, quiet time to be alone.
Yeah.
Uh,
I I'll build on something that happened to me recently where I overextended myself. And the outcome was me disappointing someone because I wasn't able to follow through with my word. So, yes, your word is bond. And it really bothered me that I literally was just in a place mentally where I just couldn't push myself anymore. And I had to say, hey, I know I had committed to this, but I'm not gonna be able to do it. It's just, you know, I was fatigued. I had been traveling internationally. It was just a lot going on with me, and I just had to disengage. And I think that that happens more often for me when I have just pushed myself to the limit. And so now I'm starting to, on the weekends, yes, I go do my workout or whatever, but also I just take some, like you said, quiet time. Because what happens if we just go, 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 then we will get to a wall where our bodies will say, "Nah, you sitting down today." So that's one of the things I think you bring up for me that's very true and something that I've recently had to reinforce with myself is it's okay to say no. And again, going back to those, we seem to always have conversations around boundaries, but it's okay to have boundaries, and it's okay even if you risk disappointing someone to say no, because at the end of the day, if you can't, you can't.
Well, and it's about, you're right. We just talked about boundaries, but it's about being the healthiest you can be.
Mhm.
And when you overcommit yourself, you start to move into that space of not being healthy. And so I think we do need to learn boundaries and not overcommit ourselves. Like I said, that's something I've really had to learn and still, have to stop and think really, really hard about. I think another one for me is just following your passion.
Mm.
That's one that I would probably like. Don't give up on your dreams.
Mhm.
Uh, anything. What's the quote? Uh,
Anything worth having is worth working for?
that's right. Yeah. It's if it's worth having, it's worth working for,
Mhm.
and don't give up.
Mhm.
And even though there may be failures along the way, just don't give up, and just hold on to it, because sometimes it's so easy to look at a situation and think, "Oh, I'm never going to get there. I'm just," I often say. Actually, I read this. It was actually in a Joyce Meyer's book. I read. I'm trying to remember the name of that book. It's one of my favorite books that I've read of hers. But it talks about if your if your journey is to get to Florida and to go live by the beach, and this is an example, I probably may not be getting the exact right, but if your journey is to go to Florida and live by the beach, and we take off from Oklahoma and we get halfway there and we stop in a state that there's a little bit of water, but it's not really the beach. I shouldn't just sit there and be satisfied with that.
Mhm.
I need to keep going because my true desire was to get to that beach.
Mhm.
And you talked about, spirituality and faith, you know, God will give us the desires of our heart.
Mhm.
And so if my desire is to get to Florida and live by the beach, but then my desire is to get to Hawaii and live by the beach. But if my desire is to get to Florida and live by the beach,
Having the space.
then I shouldn't stop when I get to a river where there's a little bit of water. I need to keep going till I get to that journey. And so I would tell myself, follow your passions.
Yeah. And that goes along with mine, which is don't sweat the small stuff. I mean, I have sweated the
You
small
have
stuff,
always said that.
but it's one of those that I have to remind myself constantly because no matter what situation I'm in, there's something for me to learn, right? And the one thing I know is I don't want to miss the lesson because if I don't get it, I'm going to repeat it and I'm going to keep doing it until I get the lesson out of it that God is trying to tell me or show me. So I always try to learn, even if it's if it's a relationship at work, if it's a work situation, if it's something going on at home with one of my children, whatever it is. I try my hardest to say, okay, help me to get this lesson. Yeah. Cause I don't want to keep having to go through this. And part of that is just not sweating the small stuff, and kids help you, pets help you understand that when they start making little accidents around the house, you start cleaning up like, okay, I'm not going to do this. I don't win this race with a puppy. I'm just going to keep cleaning up after until it learns to go outside. But it's kind of like that. In life, we try to keep cleaning up stuff until we get it just right, and nothing is going to be just right. And so I think that that's where, as I've gotten older, I would encourage my younger me to just chill a little bit because I was like on 100 for a long time.
So trust it.
Yes.
You gotta trust our journey,
Yes.
and enjoy it all
Yes.
the way.
Yes.
Because that's one of the things when I look back, it's like when we're younger, we can't wait to get to this. We can't wait to get to that. It's like just enjoy the journey.
Yeah, and that's what I try to tell folks when I mentor them or if they ask me something, they're going through something where they're wanting some advice on something. I'm like, first and foremost, enjoy where you are. Enjoy the fact that you have a home, that you are able to pay for your own car. Whatever it is, just enjoy that because there are so many folks that don't have what you have. So, I mean, even, and I know that sounds a little, like, well, yeah, I don't want to hear that because I'm not happy in my space. But I think so often we miss it. I remember right when phones were coming out and people started videoing concerts. And it's so interesting now when you go to concerts because everybody's like, oh yeah, we at the concert, we at the concert, we at the concert. And you can't even enjoy the concert because you steady filming Usher and all this other stuff. And finally, I think I was seeing something on Facebook with Fantasia said, y'all get your pictures out the way and then put them down, put the camera down because we gonna have a concert. It's too much of this and not enough of this.
Mhm.
Just exploring and being present. And I get the phones are important. I believe me, I'm putting my phone back in my pocket now because I don't want to lose it. But at the same time, I know that there's times when I need to put it down and just have a conversation with my friend LT and check on you and truly turn the ringer off and say, how are you doing today? Without going through there and trying to see my emails or who just texted me, because that can, no, you can't. See, you have a hard time doing that. We're going to work on that for you. But
So I actually thought about something funny, a little bit of deviation, but when you were talking about concerts and thinking about our younger selves, we didn't have those type of things. And I think about our
are you
concert.
going to Ready for the World?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Ah, yes, I ate.
Best concert ever.
Absolutely.
Old lady,
Mhm.
Brady,
Ready, the
and
Brady.
standing
Yes.
on the chair.
Yep.
Couldn't
Yeah.
see, but was trying because we was in the very back.
Yep. And one other concert that I remember.
Bobby Brown.
Yes. Oh,
Oklahoma
we
City.
did that one. That one even the one I was saying.
That's the one where he put the bed on the
Oh.
stage with the red
Oh,
girl.
kicked it.
Come on,
Oh,
Bobby was doing it big
yes,
back then.
yes,
Yes.
yes. I also forgot about that. No, the other one I was going to was my man, Brian McKnight. Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
Jackson State.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was like, we were like right up at the stage.
Yeah,
I
because there
was
wasn't
like,
nobody there. He was brand new. He just came out. So
no, it's not.
from a HBCU perspective, what nobody they wanted to see Luke and him shaking booty. They weren't trying to see.
Hey, Brian was singing to me.
He was.
He was singing.
It was a small, intimate concert that, Jackson State had put on. It was meant for a large audience, but it was very intimate and it was nice because when you're young like that, you don't know the difference per se between paying $600 for a concert tickets and 25.
Yeah.
And so,
That's right.
that's the thing. Those are those lessons learned.
Right.
Walk through those doors. When they open, you have opportunities to see and do things. Don't be afraid to explore.
Well, and that's about cherishing those. I go back to cherishing those relationships because some of the things that we got into, we didn't. We were just like, we're going to Jackson. We're gonna going back to homecoming. I'm like, okay, I'm going. It's an experience. We went. We did it.
Mhm.
And that's the thing that relationships can do for you when you have the right relationships, as opposed to I didn't have to stop and think about Kim said we're going. So I was, yep, I'm going.
Mhm.
There were some other things that we got into, the road. We going. So it's those relationships you have to cherish. So flipping a little bit, what do you think if your younger self could see you today?
Mhm.
What would your younger self say?
I think so it's interesting. I have a friend, we have a mutual friend, high school friend I've known for years. And we used to actually sit and talk about career goals and in our sophomore year. So some of the things we talked about, I think we've accomplished. We didn't expect the journey to take us where it took us, but we stayed focused enough to get us there. I do think, I always thought I would be an attorney. I'm not, but and I don't play one on TV.
No, but you do play one in real
One, whatever. But I think that it was one of those things. I had men in my family who were attorneys and I looked up to them. And so my uncles and family members and friends that would come around. And so it was my time at Jackson State that kind of helped me explore other career options and see other people who look like me in other careers that actually expanded my career growth. So I don't know. I think my younger self would be she'd be cool with where we are right now. She'd probably still be pushing me to be like, you see it. But that's when I have to not sweat the small stuff, take a reflective look back, and really just be grateful for where, things have landed and continue to go. I mean, I have a long way to work. I still have kids to put to college or get through that next stage in life. So it's
I'm here.
just because you done.
I'm here.
Anyway, maybe that was one thing I should have had kids sooner. No, I'm good. 30s. I started having kids at 30. something. So yeah, I'm good on it. I probably wouldn't have been. Yeah.
No, I think we did pretty good. It took a little detour, for at least for me, it took a little detours. It's interesting because I think my younger self would say, "You did it." Because I was one of those people that always wanted to be a nurse. And I can remember along
Yeah.
the journey getting so frustrated. You know, I've always been really good with numbers too, so I'm told with accounting. And so I'd go to the counselor's office at the school when I get frustrated with nursing. I think I'm kind of switching my major. And I'd look and I'd do my homework and I'd be like, no, I'm not. Just come right back to that. Take that class that you don't want to take and get it over with. I don't think my younger self would have expected for me to keep moving. Uh, I get into the nursing program. I can remember I remember getting my associate degree, and I remember because I started off in a bachelor's program,
Hmm.
and I remember like I knew I was gonna get a bachelor's because once again my personality type. It was like in my mind I had credits set in there that was doing nothing. And so that was a waste of money if I did not go back and get the bachelor's. So I always knew I was going to get my bachelor's. But with my bachelor's, it's like, I'm done. I was like, I'm going back, I'm getting my bachelor's, and I'm going to be done. I'm good. And then I started to think, oh, you really need to get your master's. Trends across America, you know, it takes time for things to get to Oklahoma, but you really need your master's. And so I did that. And I'm like, I'm done. Got my master's, got a graduate level. And as my career kept progressing and doing things, I was like, you really need your doctorate for this. You don't need it, but it would be nice. And I taught myself to go back to school. I don't think my younger self could have envisioned that. Would have been like, girl, you did what? Like,
See, yeah, I had always planned to get a doctorate degree. I just didn't know what I was getting it
yeah.
in.
And we would
So
I'd be like, okay.
I didn't
I
know
got
how
you.
or where, but I already knew that was
Yeah.
gonna happen. So, but I think in wrapping all this up with the younger self, I think it really is about knowing who you are and going back for me that Alice Walker quote, it takes time to know the difference between what I am now and what I was then. And I'm still learning and evolving.
Yeah.
And so it just really is about trusting, like you said earlier, trust in the process. If you trust the process, even if you go off straight, you're going to end up where you need to
Where
be.
you need to be. And I think that's the key piece because I never saw myself staying in Oklahoma. And it's interesting because now I have that opportunity to move anywhere in the country with my job. And we've looked at it and it's like, no, God is telling me to stay in Oklahoma and made it very clear. And so I think it's around exactly what you said, where you need to be. There's a lot of places I could be.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna go back with what is it? Everything that is well, I don't know why I'm having fuzzy brains today. But everything that is, oh, what is it, Kim? I'm trying to
I
think of.
can
Just because it's basically just because you can do it,
that
and
means should.
don't mean that you should. That's not the right quote, but that's the meaning at the end of the day. So yes, I can jump up and I could move and I could do this. And there's a lot of places. I mean, you know, that we would love to, like we know, but I've learned to trust God. I've learned to consult Him and where it's best for me and where do I belong. And right now, I know where I belong and I know what I'm supposed to be doing and I know what my purpose is. And so I have to walk in that purpose. And I think that's one of the things as we talk about wrapping up. I think that's one of the things as we talk about trusting the journey and it's about walking in your purpose.
Mhm. And even if you don't, for me, I'm not always as for sure. I'm more of a kind of a free spirit. So my purpose this year, I may, think, okay, how do I evolve on that? How do I move on that? So I think it's just being open to learning and doing more and not overthinking things.
So you're a free spirit, but let's go back, El, because you are a free spirit. I'm much more of a free spirit than me. I'm more of an analyzer. But at the same time, even with your free spirit, because you know you look at a lot of options, you evaluate it, you weigh in over.
Well, just because I'm a
to think
free
about.
spirit doesn't mean I'm not analytical.
Yeah.
It just means that I just process information differently, but I'm still analyzing.
Right. And that's the reason why I wanted to come back and clarify that, because free spirit doesn't necessarily that you just go off the cuff and make decisions. You're still
Which I have done.
well, and you learn from it.
And they weren't all bad.
And they weren't
So, you know,
all
yeah, I've gained a lot of respect for it, because sometimes when I just jump, it works out perfectly. I remember listening to Steve Harvey. He did a segment right in between one of his Family Feud shows, and it was called Just Jump. And literally, I use that as a catalyst to jump into a new role.
You know what?
Hey,
It's
Steve Harvey.
It was absolute time. There's Dion Post, and now we're going to
Steve Harvey. Yeah, I keep it simple. I keep it simple.
You know what?
I love a good comedian. What can I say?
It's been real. It's a wrap.
It's a blunt talk.
Blunt talk.
Don't forget to get your
T-shirt.
link in bio.
It's been real.
It's been real.
Tea.